this is a very bullish sign of exchange balances kind of declining since, again, that March 2020 date. 20% decline up until April 2021, and then we start to see some people come back and kind of sell into profits into the market. Bitcoin moves onto exchanges. And since then, again, we've seen another 7% fall off in exchange balances. And so we don't have it on here, but this is, if you look at it in terms of how many days there are in those two periods, the latest fall off, although it's only 7%, is falling off at 0.08% per day, where previously it was falling at 0.05%. So it's an accelerating, deaccelerating trend of Bitcoin leaving exchange balances. And so September this year was, the fourth largest outflow month that we've seen in the history of Bitcoin for Bitcoin leaving exchanges, and July was the first overall month. And a lot of those bigger months came during those 2020 cycle too. So I think we're seeing a huge paradigm shift in how much Bitcoin is really leaving exchanges.
And Sam, we've talked about that March 2020 date as kind of an inflection point for a lot of these metrics. This next chart that we're going to show really kind of quantifies that and shows how directly correlated this is with price after these two broad trend changes. So let's take a look here. Basically, we have the non-exchange supply percentage. So this is the Bitcoin that's on exchanges continues to decline. So the non-exchange supply percentage continues to increase. And then we have, likewise, we have the illiquid supply percentage. So when we're talking about illiquid supply continuing to hit new all-time highs, that's what we're looking at. But we're looking at this as a percentage of circulating supply. So obviously, the blue and the green are pretty well correlated with that black line, which is the price of Bitcoin. And so, while this one-to-one relationship, or very close to it, hasn't held up through the history of Bitcoin, what we see is these really broad trend changes in March of 2020, and since then, this correlation looks to be holding steady. This is just another way to quantify this SAT squeeze, this supply squeeze that's taking place as more and more of this, the free float of Bitcoin supply is taken up by these long-term holders, these convicted holders, the people that aren't going to sell back for fiat currency. So, price ripping to new all-time highs in a pure spot market accumulation is not something that I think anybody should be surprised with.